right, Pot of Gold, welcome back. I'm Brett. I'm here with Mike. Grant, the intern behind the glass, has a has a brace on his arm from doing the knoll chop for so long in the Florida State section last night. LSU, it's a sad day. It's a bad day. Mike, how we feeling?
It's a catastrophe.
This is a
It's a
catastrophe.
uh, how we feeling? Yeah. It feels familiar. I guess I'll say that. It feels like last year.
It
How we
felt all too familiar.
all too familiar. It always sucks when the first game is like that and you just kind of like, damn, well, that was fun. And now
Can
it's a long
we
season ahead of us.
Can we like sign in blood to not play teams that play a week 0? Can we
We
abolish
need
these
to.
bullshit neutral
It's
site
never worked
games?
out for LSU in like what, 20 years?
If you want to play LSU, come to Baton Rouge and we'll return the favor and go wherever you want. But like I'm just sick of it. Honestly, felt like we were the away team in this game. Like I've
Yes.
never felt like that in the dome in my life, to feel like we were in hostile territory. They were the better crowd. They were maybe not, maybe it was a 60-40, maybe it was 55-45 in LSU's favor, but it was a rowdier Florida State crowd. And their team obviously gave them a little bit more to root for in the beginning. It was a extremely slow start. We're gonna talk about a lot of it, but like I just had to get that off my chest to start.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. It was a home game for Florida State, is what it felt like. And we gave them every reason to get hyped, every opportunity for a momentum swing they capitalized on, and it was just a hell of a day to be a Seminole fan. I can't imagine how exciting that was. It sucked as an LSU fan to know you're in your hometown. Personally for me, flying in for the trip and then getting there and feeling as if like I'm at another away game was kind of shitty. But I don't want to. There's a lot of negatives, man, and I want everyone that's listening right now. This is an explicit podcast, so if there's any grannies out there that don't like the F-bomb getting dropped, it's happening, and we apologize ahead of time. But thanks for the download. But I don't want to just harp too hard on the negs right out of the gate.
Well, we're
I
posy
do.
guys.
There's a couple positives to get tossed out because it's a small amount.
Before you do it, guys, one, share the live stream with your friends. The few people that have already gotten in here, happy to have you. Enjoy. For everyone listening at home, hit us up on Twitter at Podofgeauxld, podofgeauxld@gmail.com, patreon.com/gold, @goldmike. Hit me up with the DMs. I mean, there was some Lane Kiffin DMs in my mentions last night. There were
Lane
some,
hit you up?
No, well, Lane, that was a few days ago. But no, about Lane Kiffin. But
Okay.
anyway, I think you wanted to start off with some positives, so I think let's start there.
There are quite a few positives, so I want to get the Posy Tiger stuff out the way. Like I said, it's going to be a pretty nega pod. But I think, listen, it's tough to get into the positives, but I did think we were fresh in the fourth quarter. It was good to see an LSU team with resolve, and that there was a handful of that team and a handful of those starters, the majority of them, that believed until the very end that they had a shot. And that was good to see us not fold, because we could have folded very early in that game. We've tried to give it away multiple times.
Yeah, it felt like Florida State really dominated the time of possession the entire game. There was one point you looked up and it was like 14 minutes to 5, like early in
Yeah.
the second quarter, and you're just like, this is not a sustainable model. Where are we going to go? And I agree, guys. They played hard till the end. They started figuring it out late. A lot of teams could have packed it in, and they didn't.
Yeah, a lot of resolve, a lot of fire at the end too. Not a lot of hands on the hips. Like
Yeah.
we looked good at the end of the game, and that's one positive that I did take away. Another one is some personnel. Honestly, I thought Jaden Daniels played a hell of a football game with what he had to work with. I truly believe somebody coming in from the Pac-12 into the SEC. Listen, I know Florida State's on an SEC team, but let me tell you something, guys. They kind of played like one last night, and we let them play to that level. When you get those type of guys hyped and believing that we allowed them to do, we got the best of Florida State. And honestly, I thought Jaden Daniels played well in the face of danger the entire night. The other thing is Mason Taylor. I think that's a true freshman that is going to be a difference maker. You saw him going all out every play. He was a great blocker. Now, he did blow it at the very end. He was one of the guys that let the leak through, okay? But he's a true freshman. He made a mistake. It is mistakes, but that's coaching. That's not on him. We can get into that blocked pump, block kick and all that eventually
Well,
for a
yeah,
while.
yes, yes.
But aside from that, I was pleased at times with our defensive backs. You know, they gave up some stuff here and there, but most of the game, if this kid had time in the pocket all day to throw, I mean, he'd launch one deep and they were kind of blanketed. I mean, the throws that he completed were just kind of those crazy Bo Nix throws.
Yes, we got Bo Nixed. I mean, there was multiple times that this dude just danced around and felt like he jumped into a guard and just threw one, and the guy was open and caught it, and it was just like kept happening. But yeah, I agree. Maybe on the second or third rewatch you'll start seeing some other things. But I thought Major Burns played a lot bigger than his size. He seemed like a guy that liked to kind of get up in the line of scrimmage and made some good tackles. So it was good to see. Jay Ward kept trying to LaRon Landry guys here
Love
and there.
it.
That would get frustrating at times, but I agree. I thought the
But you
DBs
don't want
played
that to
pretty
happen with your
solid.
safeties. That's the
Yeah,
problem. Is you don't want your safeties to be these guys that are continuing to be headhunters and coming in with the big stick. It's great. I love it. But where are our linebackers? That's the problem. You know, like your best defender goes out on the first drive with just the worst luck possible, right?
yeah,
Tears his ACL for the year.
yeah.
But
I think.
then you have nobody backing them up as far as linebackers, so your safeties have to make a play. The last positive I will say before we go off is the fact that the coaches now know what our guys look like under fire. We thought all camp we kind of had some leadership here. We had some good reps here. We obviously were not doing full-blown tackling during camp. We weren't used to that yet. We weren't used to the big lights yet. And we figured out where we need to make the changes. Unfortunately, I feel like we probably had enough time mid-game to make some of these changes, but they held out hope. They wanted to stick with their guys. But I do think we have enough film now. We have enough to see that these coaches are going to make some changes. And it was the first battle. And again, that goes to your point. Why the hell is this our first fucking battle?
Yeah, it's one of those things that's super frustrating. I don't know that it's the excuse to use. Obviously, I don't think last year it would have been that big of a difference with UCLA. Who knows if it would have been the difference here, but it would have been nice to maybe field some live punts, to maybe do some field goal blocking. It's like you kind of, I'm not saying you called Mason Taylor out, but you mentioned his name. Going
Yeah.
back and rewatching that game, the first fucking field goal LSU made was almost blocked, and it was that same left side, and I think it was 61 ended up being who it was. But it's like, and then and it was like, then there was the block. Then we had to make a change. We did make a change, and nothing changed. It was one of those. I tweeted it after the game. It just felt like the most Les Miles game we've ever been involved in. It felt like we were playing Ole Miss, where like who knew what the hell was going to happen. It just, being in the stadium, I didn't feel a sense of like presence on the sideline from Brian Kelly. It felt like Brian Polian was the head coach. He was doing the most action going up and down. You can see his like white blonde hair.
And the squad that he's in charge of shat the bed the entire night.
I mean, yeah, and then are you serious in the chat? Cam Wire was bad in special teams. I mean, that's true, but let's just be honest. Cam Wire was bad everywhere. I mean, he was
Cam
on
Wire
skates.
got his ass kicked everywhere, and
He was on skates the entire night.
They yanked him from the special teams, and it was very basic to see like what happened. He stepped outside. You don't step outside. You always cover inside out. And they obviously made that switch. I'm pretty sure they put in Emory Jones in his spot. I believe him and Mason Taylor, another miscommunication. Mason Taylor stepped outside this time, and Emory tried to block two people. It just wasn't going to work out. That's okay. So if we want to like go just full bore roundabout, like what my biggest issue was, and it's not, oh, fire Brian Kelly. I wish he was,
fire Brian
going
Kelly's
nuts,
a little bit of a joke.
That's a joke. We were kidding about that because that's probably what we're going to name the title of this episode. Just to
all
get the
in
clicks.
with the process. Like I'm still bought in.
I'm totally bought in with Brian Kelly.
I believe in Harvey Dent.
I am very distraught about our fundamentals. Like, if anything, if Brian Kelly got anything squared away for week 1, it's the fundamentals, it's attention to detail, and it's a sense of urgency. And we had none of that. And we really, I that was surprising to me, was just the attention to detail was not there. Now, guys, listen, coming into this offseason, we all sat back and thought 8-4, 9-3 would be 9-3 would be just elite. Yeah. And then eventually, as we get closer to kickoff, we talk ourselves into this crazy world of 10-2, possibly 11 wins. We have a long road ahead of us with rebuilding, and I don't trust anyone better than Brian Kelly to rebuild it the right way. Feinbaum sitting here talking about $100 million for that product. No, dude. The $100 million is for what we might see in 3 years. And it takes a process. It takes time. We still have cancers on this roster. We still have fundamental issues, and we're still figuring out who the hell our players are. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of figuring that out against the little sisters of the poor. Children of the poor?
No, you hit it. You nailed
Children of the corn.
There you go. We're going to have to get used to, and we're going to have to get used to eating a little bit of shit, because for some reason, I don't know if it's just that no one in the world thought that anyone would leave Notre Dame for LSU or what it is, but everyone is waiting and itching for Brian Kelly to misstep, for him to say something wrong, for him to miss a belt loop. Everyone is just waiting to write that blog post, to get those clicks. I don't know if it's just because how much Notre Dame moves a needle nationally, whether it be clicks on your links or whatever it is. I don't know. But it seems like I don't even know. It seems like a smear campaign is out there to do, like, destroy Brian Kelly before he can ever get it going. And it's strange. Yeah. I fully believe you texted me, I don't know, 2 days before kickoff to watch the LSU Gold, like, document series. Watched it, and it's incredible. And I still believe in it to this day. Like, they are building, this is a 10-year process that's going to start really picking up in 1.5, 2 years. It may be a little shittier. It may not go as well as we thought off the bat here, right off the turn. But I think everybody kind of learned something with this loss. It sucks we didn't eke out a W or bring it to overtime, but I think this is going to be a good thing moving forward.
I think a lot of stuff is fixable, though. That's the benefit of this. And again, guys, there will be plenty of negatives moving forward in this episode. I don't want to sound like just a full-blown sunshine pumper, because I'm as disappointed as anybody. But like some of the stuff I saw in the stands, like double birding Brian Kelly from the top deck, just like, guys, what are you doing? Like, that's embarrassing to come home and see our fans acting like that. They're just fucking nuts sometimes, dude. Like, you got to have some perspective here. There's definitely a lot of issues, but there's one step at a time fixing these issues. And I'm not off the train yet. Like you're saying, it's going to take time. I hope to God it doesn't take 10 years. I hope to God that we're in the playoffs in year 3, actually. Well, I guess
12-team playoff. We're in. Yeah. If we're not in, then we're in trouble.
I want to see these fundamentals fixed. I want to see our personnel straightened out, and just not like, oh shit, Malik Neighbors actually can't field punts at all, and he's extremely uncomfortable doing it. I don't care how much the kid wants to do it. You're going to have to make the tough decision and pull him, because I guarantee you there's a ton of other cats on that field that can be comfortable catching punts. Put Besh back there. Put Jeray Jenkins back there. My God, this guy, this guy can't miss. Jeray Jenkins, if we're going to keep the bullshit number 7 thing going, give it to Jeray Jenkins. Like, this kid is a leader, and there's a reason. I found it I was questioning, like, what is Kelly doing calling out Jeray Jenkins in the offseason or in fall camp leading up to the opener about how Jeray Jenkins needs to be a little more vocal. Like, we need him to be the leader that he's capable of being. It's because he sees the impact that this kind of kid has, and he sees that there are other people on this roster that should be your leaders, that it's kind of a waste of time. You're not going to get it out of them. So the cats like Jeray Jenkins, who believe in themselves, even though they don't have the gaudy numbers, they're going to get the crazy touchdowns at the end of the game to keep you alive, just like last year at A&M. Jeray Jenkins should be fielding punts. Hell, the kid's he's solid.
Yep. I agree. I think the thing that frustrated me the most watching this game, and it'll be talked about throughout tonight's episode, is it just felt like there was just no sense of urgency ever. It's like we're down 2 scores with 9 minutes left, and we're doing this like 5-minute offense. Got me. I don't know. That was just one of those things that pissed me off. It was, and I think it leads in perfectly to something that I think was danced around in the last minute. It felt like Kayshon Boutte was completely disinterested the entire night.
Lack we're of going urgency. Boutte. Are we going all in on Boutte already? Because I'm down. I mean, I'm ready. It's gonna be a large segment. Is all I'm saying.
I don't care. We can go wherever you want. It's just like I felt like the lack of urgency throughout the game, whether it be in the first quarter or whether it be in the last drive, like outside of the last drive where we actually did. It was just frustrating. I thought it kind of flew into Boutte. It just feels like if Boutte comes down with that first touchdown pass in the back of the end zone, it just feels like the game is completely different.
Here's the deal with Boutte, and I don't want this to be just strictly focused on Boutte, because I do believe this needs to be said about the whole squad. We talked about this in the preseason pod. We said adversity is going to hit, and you're going to see what your team is made of, who's going to fall in line, who is going to buy into this path, this process, this alignment.
Happened a little earlier than
it happened a little earlier. I thought it might be the second loss, but it looks like it was mid-game that we had some of our cats throwing the pissy party, the temper tantrums, whatever you want to call it. I don't personally, everyone sitting here bitching, even Greg McElroy apparently. Oh, we haven't targeted Boutte yet. The first drive we had the ball, we targeted him in the back of the end zone. Like, we wanted to get him the touchdown. I understand that was good coverage. Listen, that defensive back had good coverage on that first touchdown, but the rest of the balls that he dropped was just a lack of focus. And the reason there's a lack of focus here is because the whole fucking offseason, we're worried about getting paid and we're worried about whether this offense is going to cater to me enough. It's bullshit, dude. And it's not just Boutte, though. That's been the culture of this program since we went to the national championship. It's let's go to LSU. I'm the guy. Ed's going to suck me off. We're going to get pandered to. And it's my game. Whatever I say is going to go.
I agree. I would say I think it was the culture before and after the national championship. I think Joe Burrow and that team had a very different culture, but I completely agree with that.
Yeah, no, you're right. The NFLSU stuff started it. I think winning this national championship was excellent, but we had a child try to sustain success. And that's the issue.
Exactly.
Is you can't sustain success when you have a fan and like running the program. And essentially that's like, if me or you took over this program, it would be a clown show of 5 stars that wanted the ball.
Wait, would you rather be Eric or Ed? That's the question.
Derek or Ed?
Yeah.
Derek, I think I'd rather be rather be Ed. That dude got paid. He's got
the paycheck,
babes all around him. Yeah. No, but the point is
Big Cat though.
The point is you got guys like Eli Ricks, you got guys I don't want to go into the Stingleys of the world, but like that type of mindset where it's like, it's okay to quit and remain on the team. That's bullshit. And Boutte is trying to get through it. He's trying to be a part of the team, but like, you're either in or you're out. That's where we have to kind of draw the line, is you're either all in or you're all out. I don't like that. Derek also can't vote. Huge react. That's true. Felony. I wouldn't want him.
Can Ed? Never mind. Yeah,
Ed can vote.
Maybe.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say. We had to buy you. For one, it was tough to get him to come to LSU to begin with. He wanted to go to Bama right out of the gate. It was a last-minute decision. We finally got him in. He goes to LSU. He flirts with Bama all offseason, all through camp. We have to pay him off through Gordon twice just to get him on the field to play. And then midway through, like the first or second quarter, it's already like, oh, we fucking suck. I'm out. Like, dude. And then you got guys like Kyron Lacey and Jeray Jenkins. And I mean, the rest of the crew.
Not Jeray Jenkins. It was Neighbors. But yeah.
I'm saying like giving it their all. Doing everything they can to get the ball in their hands and make the most of it and make the most of their opportunities because they're fucking hungry. And that's what the whole team needs to be hungry. That's the problem. And you got to transfer like Kyron Lacey. You got to transfer like Jaden Daniels, who is not embedded in that culture. And look who they are on the sideline. They're walking around trying to lift up all these prima donnas who are still stuck in that, well, we should be better. Guess what, guys? We're not better, because we have to all believe that we can get to that point. But it takes hard work, it takes preparation, and it takes focus. If you're not focused, you're not going to come down with those balls. You're playing a team that is almost in the same boat as you, that needs to get over the hump and save their coach's job. They're going to play.
Yeah, it had that sense, and look, I had it as a fan walking into that game that it was like, we're in such a better spot than Florida State. Like, there's no way, like, we're just gonna out-talent them, and it kind of felt like that's how we walked into the game. Offensive line, is it time? What quarter would Miles Brennan have had a season-ending injury last night? Second?
He would have a death. It would be more like it. Miles Brennan would have. I mean, the kid tripped on a flip flop and was out for the season. Like he's our quarterback last night. He's dead. He's dead. Cam Wire's awful. I was pissed off.
The right side of the line was the most frustrating thing you could ever watch. Cam Wire was on skates. I just blanked on his name. Bradford. It felt like Bradford.
Bradford, boy.
All fall camp, it was like, well, this is number 2. Like, Will Campbell's our guy, but like Bradford's a staple. I don't
know what's going on there. The left side looked fine. Will Campbell, left tackle, and that's, we kind of probably should have thought about that when the kid from Neville shows up and he's automatically right out the gates your best offensive lineman. We kind of should have started talking more about how shitty the rest of our linemen are compared to how good Will Campbell was. But Will Campbell is good. Frazier played well.
I thought the left side held their own. Like, if you want to nitpick, I'm sure they got beat on some ones too, but it just felt like look, I've seen a lot of the Jaden Daniels hate out there and people wanting Nussmeier. I think that there is some truth to Jaden Daniels started feeling ghost and like getting a little phantom pressure and trying to take off.
Blame him?
But can you blame him? Like, this dude was under siege all night long, and he's the type of guy that's going to be able to keep you in games like this and be able to get positive yards when the line is breaking down. I'm so sick of watching college football all Saturday and seeing quarterbacks have a fair amount of time to throw the ball. And then you watch LSU and it feels like 75% of the plays are just absolutely broken down scrambled drills 2 seconds in. And it's like, I'm tired of hearing how awesome Brad Davis is. Like, I want to see our offensive line actually be good. I want to see our offensive line bully people and not be in the quarterback's way because they're trying to like go catch a block that they whiffed. It's the most frustrating thing as an LSU fan. I can take 2 drop punts. I can take all the special teams bullshit that happened. I'm just so fucking sick of never feeling like our quarterback's going to have a chance.
Yeah, and I mean, clearly this was an issue that they identified, and they said, yeah, we'll take the transfer from Arizona State that can fucking run. Like, yes. Yeah, because our offensive line sucks. And good on them for identifying that and getting a kid like Jaden Daniels, because I really think I think he's going to be a good quarterback for us. There was nothing wrong with his performance in the first game. Obviously, we can nitpick. Hey, he didn't read the defense. Huh?
Are you a little surprised that Nussmeier didn't catch a drive? When we're in the third quarter and have like 100 total yards, we have like 120 total yards like late in the third. Are you kind of surprised? I never once felt like it was like I thought Daniels gave us a good shot in the chaos. It just was, to me, it felt like one of those things where if you're on the headset, it's like, guys, it can't get much worse. Like, is it worth throwing in this grenade and seeing what happens? That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm the biggest Nussmeier guy there is, but second to the driver of the Nuss bus, whatever. There's a lot of flight attendants. I think Nuss definitely sees the field well. From what we've seen in the past, I think he's got a cannon and he takes a lot of risks. I don't know if Brian Kelly was comfortable in that position to change the rhythm that Jaden Daniels was gradually getting and having that threat of running the football. I think you just can't take that out and see if it works with Nussmeier, because it truly, like, the offense, I know there was some shit going on there, but like defense couldn't get anyone off the field in third down. That's not Jaden Daniels' fault. Cam
Yeah.
Wire getting his ass kicked the entire night is not his fault either. I don't like how it took, though, till the fourth quarter or the end of the third quarter to get that sense of urgency from the play callers, from Denbrock and staff, of figuring out, hey, we're not able to stop them. No shit. You haven't been able to stop them since the first drive. So let's start getting the ball out quick. Let's get our playmakers in space and fucking move the football. I get that last drive, we went 99 yards. They were playing fucking 3 deep. Like they were giving us everything up front, and we took advantage of it with our playmakers. But the drives before that, we actually had an up-tempo offense that was playing to their weaknesses and their voids. I don't know why we didn't do that the whole game. There was confusion up front with the pass protection as well as the running backs. You got Josh Williams in there, who the whole offseason as well, we heard about how he's no longer a walk-on. This kid's been on scholarship. Give him a shot. Stop talking about how he's a walk-on. He's the best pass protector and the most, fundamentally sound back we have. The kid couldn't pick the right side to block half the time. He was on skates. It's just, those are the type of coaching mishaps that I'm frustrated with, that it took all the way to like that second half of the fourth quarter for us to start subbing people. Although on defense, we did yank Mike Jones for Wes Weeks, who was another bright point. Weeks looks like a baller.
Yeah, I think he played well. I was surprised that we didn't see, and maybe we just missed it being in the stadium, but it felt like Harold Perkins was a guy that was going to be on the field more. That wasn't. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to like say the defense felt like played well outside of third down, because obviously third down is probably the most important down. But it's like it felt like the D was so close to getting off the field all night long, and it was like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 4, auto convert, and it says 11 for 17 and third down conversions, but it's like it felt like it was just that much more. LSU never got off the field at any point whenever they needed to.
Just had to show Lance's comment here for the crowd. We're wrong on Daniels.
Yeah.
So we'll hide it. All right. Anyway, moving forward, since we have Alabama players everywhere, but that's fine. Yeah, dude. So very frustrated with that. Listen, talking about some of the bright points here, I thought Wes Weeks played well. I would have loved to see Harold Perkins in the game. Get a little action.
I think Mekhi Wingo deserves a shout out. I thought Mekhi Wingo came in and played pretty damn well.
Recovered the fumble on the goal line. That was enormous. Mekhi Wingo came up with it at the end. That's the strong man. That's a guy that's a transfer that believes. That's a guy that won the summer workout guy.
You mentioned it earlier. Obviously, Mason Smith with one of those like incredibly awful injuries where he jumps up to celebrate, comes down and just tears his ACL, out for the season.
That's
really sucks. Really sucks. I think Mekhi Wingo coming in as like your rotational guy was an unbelievably like bright spot on the team. But now I think obviously being more completely thrown into the mix, he's going to be more than serviceable. Like I thought he came in and played his ass off last night.
Absolutely. I think having Mason Smith out as early as we did definitely was a big blow. I mean, you talk about momentum shifts right out of the gate.
Going from the booty drop in the end zone to the bad snap to
Mason Smith
was just it literally let the entire air, like the entire balloon that was the Superdome, felt like it was gone right there. And then Ojulari like starts holding his knee like to a play later.
Yeah,
and you're like,
that was bad.
What is happening? Like all we talked about was how healthy this team was going to be, and like 94% recovery on our soft tissue injuries, and then everyone's just gonna die.
Dude, we hyped that up, not us, but just like in general, the whole like how we've had no injuries this offseason. It was talked about a little too much. Like you wanted to like tell everybody to shut up, like stop saying it. It's bound to happen. Right. Like we get it. There hasn't been any injuries. And of course, fucking Mason Smith. And listen, I'm tired of the people saying celebrating. The dude he jumped in the air. It's a freak accident. The dude can jump in the air. He wasn't doing like the Dougie. Right. Like, I mean, it was celebrating someone else's tackle.
Yeah, I didn't mean that necessarily maliciously or anything.
No, I didn't mean
it wasn't like in the line of play. He gave it a hop, which like that's what you want. Like I'm happy that it sucks. Obviously, I wish he didn't do it, but it's like you want your guy who took on 2 blocks to free up this safety or whoever came up and made that tackle. I want him to be able to celebrate. Like I wanted more juice. I kept saying I wish Kyron Lacey was playing more because every time they put that dude on the field, he was jumping up and down. Like felt like the only guy that had energy in the stadium.
Yeah, and then he made plays though. When his number was called and the ball was thrown his way, he made the catch and he made plays. Is he the best athlete we have? No. But is he somebody that wants to wear purple and gold, that transfers from an in-state college to be here, that knows the tradition and wants his opportunity? Kid's a dog. I want
Take
him
them
to get
all.
those opportunities. We talked about how this was the first time our coaches were able to see those guys that they trusted all offseason under the line of fire and faced with adversity. They yank Mike Jones. That's a big move. Like to say, like, okay, enough's enough, 6 is out after naming him a team captain. That kind of shows you like the coaches truly didn't know exactly what they were in for when it came to when the lights come on. Who are these players? What do I have to work with? Kelly now has that,
Yeah.
and I do think that is big moving forward. This is going to be a process. I think there's a lot to work on, man. I think you got to start with those fundamentals, though. You're not going to do shit against the SEC with those type of mishaps. Talking about stepping the wrong direction on field goal protection. I mean, my God, dude, shanking punts like and it's the Notre Dame kid, nonetheless. It just
Yeah, well,
doesn't. It wasn't fun, dude.
the first punt he had was an absolute boot, and then it was a shank, and it's like, I get that stuff happens, and it does suck, but it was one of those. It felt like Les Miles, and then in the most Les Miles of Les Miles moves, on 3rd and inches from the inch line, Mike Norvell decides to do an
Oh,
offset Les Miles pitch. Literally, take a
the only
knee.
thing you don't do.
Take a knee, QB sneak, like literally anything, but put the ball in the air. And they did. And obviously, the kid alligator armed it because he was going to look for the hole. And it's like LSU it's gifted, does everything to like, if you're going to run this dumb play, we're going to make you pay for it. That's what hurt me and daggered me was watching like Mike Norvell be able to celebrate and all these dudes like talk shit to our student section, whatever, go for it, have fun, you won, you deserve it. But like the guy who called literally the dumbest fucking play call you could imagine gets to like jump up and down and celebrate like he won the Super Bowl and go take a picture with an ugly ass all-state trophy. It made me want to fucking puke.
I know. That is very true. Meanwhile, like our coach is, on the chopping block. People want to fire him because we lost by 1 point and looked stupid. I mean, like, I get it. We had some fucking disastrous looking play calling,
I
disastrous looking execution.
I
But
was very frustrated, but I was very optimistic, and it made me feel pretty good that these guys now know that they can be on the 90, the 1 yard line with a minute left and 2 timeouts, and they are still in it, and they have the ability. I think that's going to give them some confidence going forward. Hopefully, we can figure stuff out in this Southern game, and then I think Mississippi State, which is going to be a test. Talk about testing some corners. Like they're going to throw it 1,000 times. The dude's going to throw for 70% completions. Going to have to be able to tackle. I think that a lot of good could come out of this. Look, I am frustrated. It sucks. I thought we were going to be the fundamentally sound and prepared team going in, and it wasn't like we killed ourselves with penalties. It was a lot of like I don't know, coaching, I guess, play a part of it, but it was just things that happen where you muff 2 punts. We didn't make a change. We couldn't figure out a block. It was like these small things.
dude, it was just one catastrophe after another, like
Yeah.
just misfortune after misfortune. And you talked about it, dude. We identified these things in the offseason. He talked about going off in practice because Dellinger couldn't get the snaps right, but we need him to be this center. Like we need it to happen. Hopefully, it's like shanking a drive out of the tee box, dude. Hopefully we got our dick out, right? Like hopefully like this is it. We're embarrassed and we learn from it and we have to fix it, right? Like get used to it. We're going to fix this moving forward. Unfortunately, we're in the SEC West, so it's not going to look pretty during that process of being fixed. But I guarantee you we do not fumble any more punt returns after 2 in a row by Malik Neighbors. I guarantee you we learn how to block for field goal protection. I guarantee you Mason Smith won't tear his ACL again because he's out for the season. I mean, like, your best player on defense is out the first drive. You have the bad snap. You have Booty not bought in. It's just like, dude, everything that could have gone wrong happened on the first game. I'm happy it happened now and not like as we're in the meat of the SEC and kids are starting to quit or Mason Smith gets hurt. Like, we have time to now fix this.
It just sucks that we didn't eke out this win to be able to pat everyone on the back, because you're right.
Absolutely.
I mean, this team literally, I don't think could have played worse. Like, there's really nothing else that could have happened. I guess maybe throwing an interception. Like, it's like nothing went right, like you said. And we were still a field goal away or an extra point away from sending this thing to overtime in another coaching error that we have to assume will get fixed here. We got some pretty good coaches. I'm not ready to send Bill Polian or Brian Polian, whatever his name is, packing. I'm willing to let this process play itself out. And doesn't really matter what I'm willing to, because we signed up a 10-year deal.
What's your review on Denbrock? Somebody just asked in the chat. Listen, the jury's out on Denbrock. I think Mike Denbrock is a placeholder. He was not Kelly's first choice. I think he's somebody that Kelly trusts to coach up the basics and like the foundation
install
of an offense that he wants to be running in a couple years, and we're going to have a new OC eventually. That's what I think's happening with Denbrock.
And that's something I kind of was thinking about late last night, that I'm glad you brought it up and kind of refreshed my memory, because it feels like probably in our lifetimes, all these LSU transitions, there were guys like Tommy Moffitt that stayed, and there were some other coaches. It does need to be mentioned that this was like 1,000% rebuild. There's not like a familiar face in that building, and I'm not saying that that's an excuse for Brian Kelly or anything, but I think people don't realize how much goes into the day-to-day, the weekly, the monthly operations that is being a high-level college football program. And I think that it's just not as easy, and it's not going to be as quick as we thought. And this is, once again, I don't think this is a excuse for Brian Kelly, but I think that this program was left in a really shitty spot. And I think that people like us believe, well, I mean, it's impossible to have turned that bad in 2 years. And I don't necessarily think it's fair to, like, let's just start throwing these losses on Ed Orgeron too. I don't know what my point is. I'm just saying, like, I feel like there's just so many factors that play into everything like this. As sad as I am, as frustrated as I am, I'm like so excited still for what this team and what this program's going to be.
Exactly. That's the point, is like, we're not sitting here saying, yeah, yesterday was nice to watch and we expected more. And the majority of it, a lot of it was coaching. And that starts with Brian Kelly, and he owned that. Yeah. He talked about that in his press conference. But am I out on that? Did I think that it was going to be perfect right out the gate? Fuck no. And for people that are, I think the people that are most pissed off and that are giving the double bird to Brian Kelly in the stands after one game are the people that hated this hire to begin with and are the Billy Napier type of crowd. Like, they're the guys that really want to sit back and just look for any excuse to hate on it and are not bought in to what this guy is capable of doing with enough time and enough resources, which he will have at LSU. This is an investment, and it's not going to happen overnight. Just like our boy Lamar just said, this is a fat dude. This is a fat dude going to the gym for the first time. Unfortunately, or fortunately for us, we've been in that gym before, right? Yeah. Like, we've got some muscle memory here, and it's going to happen. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but we know what the result can look like, and I trust that he's going to figure it out. I'm glad we fucking showed our dick early, is what my point is.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, it sucks we couldn't have snuck out 26-24 or something like that.
It was there. Do you go for 2?
I don't know. I don't know.
I know hindsight's fun.
I mean, credit to me, I kind of knew that we weren't going to make that extra point. Like, I didn't get up.
Dude, we were both in the same boat. I said, dude, Like we were crouched down on our knees on
Yeah,
that
so
nasty ass Superdome.
so
We
we're
were
not there yet. We're not there yet. It's not
the
overtime
announcer
yet.
said lining up for the kick, whatever Ramos, and I was like, oh, that's
Oh
right. We
God.
still fucking need Ramos to make a kick,
Well,
which it
in
wasn't his fault. Wasn't
the
Ramos.
let's just call them co-eds, the co-eds that were about to leave, and then the fumble happened, so they started sitting right behind us.
Oh, that's
They
right.
we're in the most ridiculous review of all time because the review meant absolutely nothing either way, and it still took like 8 minutes. And these girls, these co-eds tap me and Blake and Mike on the shoulder and are like, "So why is everyone excited? If we score, don't we still lose?" And we were like, "Well, no, we go to overtime. Well, we would need to make the extra point." She's like, "But if we kick a field goal, we lose." And I was like, "No, not exactly. Like, let's play this out, right?" And we start going, and so they're like, "Oh, okay." And I don't know what it was about that conversation, but I was like, I just knew we were fucked. Like that was just like I thought we were gonna score the touchdown, and I sat there crouched the whole time, everyone screaming, throwing piss balloons, and I just like I'm not gonna believe it until it's literally we're flipping a coin at midfield with some lieutenant governor who him and Amanda Maya Shaw were the fucking the show of the evening. We had to
And
give him
Juvenile.
and Choppa.
Choppa, sorry.
It was like we had to let those two people literally do everything. We gave them game balls, we gave them coins to toss, and then they got everything. It was ridiculous.
How
I
about
don't even know.
Champion Square not opening till fucking 3?
What a nightmare the whole situation was. Like we go down to New Orleans, which I think as the listeners know, I'd rather be anywhere than New Orleans, but that's where this game is, so that's where we're gonna be. And we pull into the parking garage, and I was like, Mike, this is great. Like we're right here. This is incredible. We walk out and they're like, sorry, it's blocked off. You're gonna have to walk around the entire Smoothie King Center.
Yeah, we might as well have gotten on I-10.
Okay. Well, you know what, guys? That's fine. That's completely fine. We do the entire loop around. We're like, let's just go hang out in Champion Square, grab a drink, get there. I'm sorry, we don't open until 3.
Doesn't make any sense. And we can't
3?
cut through either. So then you got to hike your ass all the way back around again. It was just a nightmare.
It was truly
But that's
a nightmare.
what do you expect, dude? That's New Orleans. What do you expect? I know the Seminoles had a good time though, dude. They were flooded on bourbon the whole weekend. They had no care about getting shot. They had a good time. I'm glad they did because that was a home game for them.
They frustrated me as a fan base. I don't think they were bad. I honestly respect them. I thought that they came out and cheered, and they were an awesome crowd. But they just kind of annoyed me. The constant, and bring Grant up for this because Grant's our resident Florida State fan on the podcast. How about let me just throw this idea out there to the entire fan base. Let's not spell our entire university for a chant. Let's not spell the whole thing.
I can't imagine how many mishaps we'd have if we had to spell out Louisiana State. And then like we would be the ones that added like university into it.
So since Grant's in here, I think there's a confession that needs to be made. I stole my brother's binos, got his binoculars out, and we spotted you doing.
We found him, dude. He was double hawking.
And you had a beer in one hand, and you were just Seminoling it, and it was gross to see. It was disgusting.
Yeah, that's not what happened.
What do you have to say for yourself, man?
It was pretty miserable sitting over there. It was.
Why does your name say Mike on the thing?
It was rough.
It's been rough. All right. Well, it's Grant. It's good.
No, he's got to fix his name. I think
Mike doesn't want it to say Mike.
My bad, dude.
But no, I don't know. Their fan base just frustrated me. And like I said, the Florida State fans that sat next to us were fine. Like they were
fine because they knew they couldn't fuck with anybody.
Yeah, everyone around me was just the fans were actually surprised. They're like, "What? How are we doing this? Like, what is wrong with you guys?" Like, it was just a crazy thing. I didn't know that this happened the whole game. No one warned me about that.
The entire game.
That was, I didn't realize that.
And they deserved it. And I mean, dude, like I said, they were the better crowd. Like they were louder.
See,
they were more rowdy.
It was hard for me to tell that But
'Cause you're
obviously,
in
from
it.
everything I've read, it was like, yeah, it was exactly what I heard. Because I thought it was louder than some LSU home games in instances where I was at. Like, that's how my ears felt. I was like, "This is not right." And I told everyone that I was around all day long, I was like, one of the biggest factors LSU has in this game is playing in the Superdome. And they're like, "Yeah, we haven't done it." And I'm like, "Yeah," and that was one of the biggest things, and that meant absolutely nothing.
Yeah, no, it didn't. I mean, dude, like it felt like we were the away team for the majority of that game. And LSU got a little rowdy late, but I can promise you after that muff punt, the exits were flooded.
Oh, dude, that was rough. Yeah, I'm glad we stayed. To be honest, like I'm glad we stayed and watched that final drive in person because I was frustrated enough to like stomp out of there. But I'm glad your brother was like, no,
Oh
we're
yeah, no,
like
I already knew we weren't leaving. That
Blake
wasn't
was
happening.
Blake was blocking that aisle. He's like, we're watching this. He had his earpiece in, like he was ready to roll.
And honestly, like when we left, like it took us 0 time to get home. Like
Oh, I'm so
we
glad we
dealt with
stayed. Yeah.
0 traffic. So it
That
wasn't
was
even
just like the inner, like the
fuck this.
PTSD from Baton Rouge of just
Yeah.
like,
Well,
why are we still here? We need to fucking get in traffic. Like,
and I mean, like literally, and that's what frustrates me that we fucking got beat by Mike Norvell. Like literally, any other coach like takes knees or like runs it in and powers it in. Like there's just
Dude.
LSU's chances of winning there should be like 0.0 unless you can like block a field goal or something.
So to go back to the Florida State fans, the majority of them, yes, they weren't like in your face, like fuck you, y'all suck. There was one, and it was in the bathroom. And it was right after what? Yeah, it was in the bathroom.
The same thing happened to me. I was about to say the same thing.
Long line, and it's mostly LSU fans, right? We're in a line going to the bathroom, and these two jabronis like fratted out Florida State cats washing their hands, and they just like decided to wash their hands for like the whole 10 minutes I was in line because they were just talking really loud to each other. Like I thought when you punt the ball, you're supposed to not have it again. But like for some reason, we keep getting the ball after we punt. Like I thought, and dude, some little fucking Mr. Thibodeau was like drunk as shit. And he was like, keep running your fucking mouth like that. We're going to have some problems. And dude, I thought it was about to, I thought it was about to go off. But like everybody else in line was like, dude, just let them have their fucking moment.
A little note here. Florida State had got 0 points off those muff punts.
Yes, that is true. And I also love how Brian Kelly and crew were like, hey, guess what, neighbors? We love you. We're going to give you fucking 3 shots in a row right after you fumbled it for the second time. Like they fucking nailed him right out of the gate. Like give him the ball, feed him. We need Malik Neighbors moving forward. That was good coaching.
Yeah, I agree. He's a guy, and we said it live. I literally said, like, get Neighbors involved now because it's like this dude is going to do everything he can to try to make up that play for you. And I thought they did. Once again, to kind of even circle back a little bit ago to the review of Denbrock, I think the jury is very much still out. I think it's very hard for me to talk about the offense without just saying, like, we don't know with how shitty the O-line played. And I think we're going to play a lot better defensive lines as we move along. This team's going to have to figure it out, or it really doesn't matter who's going to be calling the plays. And I just think it was really nice to see the urgency in this team be able to like push the ball in that 1.5 minute drill and Taylor having the wits to get out of bounds and everything that went along with it. And getting your third read when you got to be scared shitless and there's no time on the clock and you go to your third read to rip one in the back of the end zone to what's his face, Jenkins. It's like that's the type of stuff that can like change seasons, and I get that it lost. And it's like once again, I wish that we could have just somehow eked out that win. But let's just be honest, like this team is gonna lose a bunch of games this year. I think they're gonna still win a couple that they shouldn't, and maybe lose some that we don't know. I don't know that any game is a guaranteed win at this point, but
honestly, dude, maybe that makes it exciting, right? Maybe that's the deal.
I just think that does things for a team to say like we literally were backed up against the wall and we were able to make it happen. And I think that's going to be good to build on going forward. I hope guys like Boutique can stay mildly interested and not. And if not, then let's just sit out and go train for the draft. Good luck to you. I hope you get drafted high. build around some of these guys like Taylor and like Malik Neighbors and like Walker Howard and like Will Campbell and guys that want to be there. And I think it's going to suck. We're going to have to eat our shit. People are going to want to make fun of every loss. Everyone's going to make fun of Brian Kelly, and we're just going to have to eat it. And hopefully in year 2, year 3, year 4, we're where we know we're going to be.
Just like they made fun of Kirby Smart when he got to Georgia and went 8-4, just like Saban when he lost to ULM his first season at Bama, just like numerous amount of guys.
You don't know how good you had it with Mark Richt.
Right. I mean, you come in and you have to rebuild. It takes time to rebuild. So, yeah, I'm prepared for that. And honestly, that's the only silver lining here. The exciting part is you get to see like who's showing up this week. Are we going to have who's going to step up and become a leader this week and really eke out a victory? Who's going to turn the corner? Are we going to see that progress week to week? Because I really think it's only up from here, guys. Like I don't think it gets much worse than this, than what we saw last night.
I'm never going to add
when we get shredded by Bama on week whatever, but
I think this team's going to show up to play against Bama. I think we'll be surprised at the difference that how far this team has come from what we watched in the Dome last night to what we're going to see November, whatever.
What's the take on Matt House's first game?
Once again, dude, I thought the defense played awesome in first and second down.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that
doesn't mean anything.
Right out the gate, you lose your best player on the defensive line. Your pass rush was a little fucked at that point. I think the safeties did a hell of a job keeping everything in front of them. I think the linebackers were a large weakness. And when the linebackers are a weakness and you have no pass rush, you're going to take advantage of that area that you give up, and that's what they did.
And credit to those Florida State players. They came down with every difficult catch. They went up and got balls. Like, they didn't have a lot of drops and everything. So, like, credit to them for going out and taking it. You know, it's like on some of the plays, I thought our DBs were in pretty good coverage on that touchdown that I think it was the Ali Gay with the helmet to helmet.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty fair coverage. It was a great throw and a great catch.
Well, and then they have to run a flea flicker as one of their other touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like, there was just those are two brutal.
They came up with a ton of great plays where were literally everything that could have gone wrong for us did.
Yeah, it was their best day, and it was, I would assume, probably one of LSU's worst days. Like, LSU couldn't have came out flatter, and I think we can blame some of that on coaching. Well, I think some of that, it's just is what it is.
The opening drive, we came out on fire. I mean,
yeah, kind of. 2 plays.
You know, everything was hyped until that was the deflator. The snap deflated the game from the get-go.
And we never came through with that. But I mean, honestly, think about the game plan there. Think about they had a pass rush with Mason Smith. They did not want to bring pressure with the linebackers because they thought they could do it with our 4 up front. Once he was out, that pressure was not there. So we couldn't just hang out in zone like we thought we could, but we had no other option. And that's tough. And like we talked about preseason, man, depth's going to kill us. Like, I know we have good defensive tackles, but like where the difference is going to be is like you take out Mason Smith. Mekhi Wingo's good, man, but he's not Mason Smith. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, and there's no Mekhi Wingo behind Mekhi Wingo.
No, that's it. That's it. I mean, I hate to say it, dude. I don't know what happens if Gardner or Converse, they go down. Like, you're playing freshmen, right? Yeah, that's the type of shit, dude. You got to get behind the guys we got, and we have to make the most of it.
This team was going to have to stay very clean and have injuries in the right spots. And obviously, Mason Smith going down for any team, it could have been Alabama, is a massive, massive blow. And it just sucks for the dude. He seems like a guy that just wants to be at LSU and like block out the noise, let me go play. Seems like he does everything right on and off the field. And it just like, it sucks for a guy like that. I'm never going to advocate giving LSU money, but again, sign up for that 7-day free trial and watch all the docu-series and tell me and find me someone that you feel more confident with going through to rebuild what we have right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how we're going to title this pod Fire Brian Kelly, but I mean, it's truly, he's going to have to do a lot worse.
I've never been more in.
I made an analogy. To do a lot worse.
I made an analogy to you one time. It's like if you owe Vegas $1 million, like they're you own them. And it just, it's like, what are they going to do? Kill me a second time? Let's just double down and go again. And it's like, that's kind of how I feel with Brian Kelly. Like, I'm just ready to push all the more chips I have in on he's the guy that's going to do what we want to do.
Yeah, I think it's going to take time. It's a process, and we got our ass kicked right out the gates. Kudos to Florida State. It sucks. They were due for one of these big victories, and it seems like a lot of teams are kind of celebrating their victory. I mean, whenever you beat LSU and a team like LSU with all the mistakes, and they come out and say we're back, like that's the standard. Florida State's now back because they beat up on that LSU team last night. I think we have a lot to look forward to. And I think if this is the bottom of the barrel, I'm ready to get to the top, man. I'm ready to see that experience. That climb is going to be fun. But again, and going back to the Booty thing, like as an example, I'm not harping on him individually. I'm just saying like that's the example of you have to be all in. If you're not all in, this program will not start climbing. It'll always be weighted down by those quote unquote cancers. And it's not necessarily their fault. That's the culture that we had at LSU. We have to change it. We have to buy in. And you have to not fucking pout about it, dude. Pull up your pants, know that you're going to lose some games here or there, but give it everything you got. Concentrate and execute the plays. And guess what? You're going to be in it at the end of the day. That's what I appreciated was even though it sucked ass that we were getting beat by Florida fucking State, we were in that game all the way until we left to go home.
Yeah, I agree. It was a tough one to be in the building for, but I think it's going to be one where, in a couple years where we're playing in the national championship game, we'll remember being in that Superdome and feeling like, how have we fell to where we are now? Like, we are now Florida State when everyone's laughed at Florida State forever and, oh, you're going to finish fourth in the ACC. That's sitting where we're at right now. And I just, I don't know. I can't say it 1,000 more times, but I just still have full faith that Brian Kelly. I do think there was a little bit of like, fuck, man, what did I get myself into? There had to be a little bit of that. I
think he wasn't expecting the amount. I don't think Brian Kelly truly thought like his coaching job was going to be like, oh, fuck, I have to do everything. Like, I'm not just walking into like a bunch of 5-stars or a bunch of guys that like when the lights come on, they kind of take over. No, what I've been seeing in practice is what we are. There's no two versions of these cats that just turn it on for games. It's time to truly buckle in and make the most out of every second I have coaching these kids because I have a lot to do. And it's not like he hasn't been here before. He's been everywhere he's been. He's done a rebuilding process. I think he possibly may have thought that LSU was going to be a little bit easier out the gates to rebuild, but guess what? We're paying this dude a fuck ton of money. He's going to figure it out. He has to. Like that. There's no option here. So I trust he will.
All right, Grant looked like he was going to say something, but then he didn't. This is definitely going to stick around. It's going to be a little smudge on Brian Kelly's record for a little while. Like there's going to have to be, I don't know. It's just I never going into a like week 1 game super confident ever again. Just not. I'm not doing it.
No. I mean, I'm used to that. I'm used to saying that, but it just happens, dude. They have a way to get you.
Oh, I'll be putting a pencil in us into the national championship next year. Don't you worry, Mikey boy.
Hopefully, lost a lot of money this weekend.
Net worth is taking a hit. Let's just say that, boys.
I'm glad I moved back to a state that I can't bet because I'm out.
That money line. We almost had it. We did. Yeah. We weren't even sweating the 3 with the hook. Like we were smart enough to just take the money line and say things can happen. Was there a parlay that had LSU minus 13.5 in it? Who can say? Literally, who can say? And I will say, like, I'm sorry. I know a lot of people were messaging the boys. We didn't come out with a pregame pod. There was just some extenuating circumstances. I had some family stuff. Then Mike was traveling in, and we just couldn't do it. But, like, thank God we did. I'm glad we didn't get that ad revenue for us to just talk about how we were going to blow out Florida State for an hour and a half and then to just have to come over here and eat some crow.
True.
Worked out for the boys.
Yeah, we were pretty hyped walking into the stadium though. Like we kind of were
so
like
confident.
I
wish I was like, dude, how can I get more money in my FanDuel account? Ugh,
I know we made quite a few parlays just sitting there signing autographs. Thanks, Sims. But yeah, other than that,
hit us up on Twitter.
Yeah, I think it's Stetson Bennett has the Heisman wrapped up. I'd put some money on that.
Richardson's gonna be the name for a little while. Richardson's
hot, dude. He's a good player. Listen, I picked us to lose at Florida, and I stand by it, especially now after watching last night. No, Richardson's a dog, dude. I just think
that's what's worrisome.
Raw.
Like, dude, are we just gonna go into the swamp and just get like walked on? Is Tennessee going to come in and just like slap us around? I think the team's going to get better, but it's just like
we'll see. There's who knows at this point. Who knows at this point. We'll know more at Mississippi State. Like depending on who shows up at Mississippi State.
Walking down the ramp at the Superdome, I looked at you and I was like, God, Vegas knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. What was it? 7.5?
Yeah, 6.5 opened up. 7. Yeah. Luckily, I don't have the patience for the pregame bets. Like, imagine being the guy holding the LSU -7.5 ticket right now. Like,
that's me, dude. I think I have that.
I was trying to.
Are you going to tell me to light it on fire? Or?
I was trying to make fun of Grant for you, but
no, I ended up taking the first quarter minus the half point, and so when it hit in the first half, I was pretty jacked. I mean, the first quarter.
Oh, I had the halftime. I had 1.5 at first half.
Hey, Grant, can you look into fake. This tweet? I was gonna say
that was the guy doing that earlier today.
Okay,
what is this?
I figured it was
a fake, a parody Twitter account tweeted that.
Transfer portal and go where? By the way,
that's a fake. It's a fake tweet.
Yeah.
No,
they had a couple. They had a couple of the fake tweets. They had that one, and then there was another one someone put out that he got in a fight with Brian Kelly after the game, and he quit.
Click on those actual Twitter accounts, and you'll see that those are not.
This is a big test. This is a big test for Kelly, dude. Like, if this is really true, which I don't know how true it is about the whole like him getting in an argument with Kelly and blah blah blah, but like this is a test. Do you make an example of your star player, or do you just get convinced that like, hey, don't rock the boat, let it ride? You know, like I don't mean kick the kid off the team, but like, do you set him down and say, hey, bro, you're not playing if that's what we're gonna get? Period.
I hope so.
You know, like that's the way it's going to be. That's a decision he has to make because that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, and you already could hear it from the national media. But at the same time, like, who gives a damn what they think? They already hate you.
Yeah, I mean, they're just itching. They're just itching for it. Like they want
the cultural fit not to work. So Booty, Kelly, that's the perfect.
Yeah, let's stir that shit up. 247, their headliner is Keyshawn Booty's not happy in Baton Rouge. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. So also, like, what year is it, bro? Like, welcome to the fucking show.
Yeah, dude, On 3 is what you need to follow. I'm just kidding, Jimmy.
I don't know. It's just I want Brian Kelly to just be the alpha in the room and like let's just build the exactly what you want and hope it works out. I don't know.
It's going to take time, and we're going to watch it. We're going to be here every step of the way, guys.
I don't think I'm paying to go anywhere to watch it. Like I think
we're done with that.
I think I'm sticking at home for a while. Maybe Grant will have a brisket for us.
Tough luck. He's like, fuck you. Tell us your bathroom story before we head out, Grant.
Mine is basically my bathroom story was I was peeing right after we lost, like after the missed extra point.
After we won.
You know what? Let's get him out of here. Let's get him out of here.
They were just fans talking shit. First time I'd heard it.
Well, I was in the bathroom and this LSU dude was like a hammered drunk guy, and he was like, I don't know that we're going to be good, but like Florida State's terrible. Like he was just being an ass like that. And this Florida State fan was walking out of the bathroom. He's like, God, man, come on. Like he was like so hurt that this dude was like clowning Florida State. And it just made me laugh. Like he was just distraught that this guy was like just besmirching his program. It just gave me a good laugh.
I do have a funny story before we hang up. So I flew in to New Orleans on Friday, and when we got off the plane, this North Carolina State fan, first off, weird guy, followed me up to the lavatory, right? And
Laboratory.
yeah, Drew was using the bathroom. I went with her because we were in the seats together. I was like, I might as well just make a move now. I'll wait. She was in there. This dude follows me up. And like, so now there's a line on the plane. I'm like, this doesn't look good. Now I'm going to get caught. Like, I'm going to have to sit down the whole bit. This dude's just grabbing at his crotch the whole time. Just like, gotta pee, but like really moving it around in like gym shorts. And I was like, this is weird, dude. Like, I don't, like, do I just let him go? But then I'm going to get caught in between. So anyway, I ended up going to the bathroom. As we exit the plane, he's like, hey, I hear like a hey from behind me. It's just like a squirrely dude in North Carolina State hat.
Essence Festival, right?
Right. Like he's pulling up his little bag and he's like, y'all know how to get out of here? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, y'all getting an Uber? Or I was just like, yeah, I mean, we have a ride coming picking us up. You just follow the exit signs, baggage claim, all that. I was like straight ahead. He's like, all right, guys. He's like, y'all going to the game this weekend or anything? I was like, yeah, dude. I was wearing my LSU stuff. And he's like, I'm rooting for y'all hard, really hard. North Carolina State fan, though. I was like, awesome, dude. Good for you. Good luck. Fast forward to today, return flight home. This dude's got a bloody nose and like a cast. Like he got fucked up, dude. I don't know what happened. Guy. Yes. He's just sitting by himself with a busted nostril, dude. This fucked up.
Just black eye.
He went up to the wrong person. Like, knowing what just happened on that plane, I was thinking to myself,
you crotch grab at the wrong dude in the wrong spot.
Good luck, pal. And he didn't work out for him.
That's incredible. I think we're gonna get together again later this week before the game, possibly. Hit us up on Twitter at Podofgeauxld, podofgeauxld@gmail.com, patreon.com/gold @goldmike. Trust the process. That's really all I got.
The path.
Watch it. God, dude, how was that so good? Like, how was that so good? And then that was the product we get.
Hollywood.